Hey everybody, somebody give me a 5 for 5 and we will roll out. Thank you guys for being here. I know this is once again, kind of an odd time to be going live, but yeah, we need to get this one in. This is, yeah, had another eruption on the sun, so plus we've got radiation storms and stuff like that to talk about. So I really don't think this is going to take me a whole long time to get this out, but we are going to do this anyway. Been quite some time, guys. Hey, Ripper. Hey, did you get a strike? Did I see that right? I was going to text you and ask you, and I forgot. I just seen it as I was setting up for this. This is, yeah, I've seen a lot of people getting strikes for crazy reasons lately. I'm sorry if you did, man. That sucks. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and move on with this. Text me, man. Let me know what happened if something like that did happen to you. But anyway, so let's get to this. So why am I calling it radiation snow? Well, this is why. Check it out. That's radiation snow. That's what we call it anyway. And the reason why, obviously, I mean, you see it right there, right? This is another blast, guys. This just happened a couple hours ago. Now, it's interesting to me that we had a big blast over here, and now we're getting one over here. Both of these are just over the limb. But these things are so big and powerful that we're seeing effects from them. So, I'm bringing that up because, especially this one, this eruption here, the part of the sun that erupted is going to be rotating towards us in the next day or so. So this, and plus it almost looked like it drew from two places on the surface of the sun. Now it could be just the magnetic connection points of the loops that we see all the time, but it looked like it blasted out of two, like it looked like a hand reaching out of the sun. It was really, really cool to see. Very, very cool, actually. So let's just back it up here a little bit, I guess. And we're gonna. I was trying to wait for some of the models to update, and they have. So I'm gonna go ahead and move into it. And as we do, I'll try to keep it as short to the point. Guys, please like, share, and subscribe. Let me say that right off the bat. And I want to tell everybody thank you for all those that have been super chatting. I got a super chat right at the end yesterday as I was logging off, and I didn't get a chance to shout them out. I'm going to be putting that list of people that super chatted already. I'm going to put that at the beginning of my next video, either the next one or the one after, because I think it's only appropriate when you guys support me in that way. You guys need to be recognized for that. So, because I got to tell you guys, it's so appreciated. I know we're all going through things, and I'm not even going to bring my stuff here. That's not what I do. But just know, right now, it's appreciated. Yeah. So, anyway, please do that. If you could, just share it out. It's the best way you can support me, really. But if you want a super chat, it's there. I'm working on getting the memberships up and going. That's actually a little bit more difficult than what it just sounds like. It's not just pushing one button. I have to actually go make you guys special emojis and everything else, which is cool. I actually enjoy doing that, and I give you guys that are members, you guys will be able to use emojis in the chat that other people can't. And, you know, I just think that's a cool perk. Anyway, R3. That's that X-flare from yesterday. Okay? This one, when it flared and erupted, it's like, I think it was like an M4, maybe. Okay? I'm not sure exactly. It's either like an M4 or close to an M5. But, well, you know what? We can go look. Hold on a second. Just let me pull it up here real quick. We will go look. And guys, you guys want to know how big these flares are, like exactly the number that are on them, as far as how strong they are? I kind of, well, I don't want to call it cheating, but I take a shortcut here. Typically, if you come over here, you'll see the last flare. This is spaceweather.com. X-ray solar flux. The 6-hour maximum that we seen was an M3. Okay? So that flare couldn't have been any bigger than an M3. And the 24-hour max is X3. He puts them over here. And you can actually click on this graphic right here, and you get to see all the sunspot numbers. Because, you know, it's a really good way to identify which sunspot you're talking about by being able to use these numbers. I don't do it very often because typically I'm just talking about one area. But if I got to talk about 2 or 3 different areas, I'll tell you the number of them. But I'll zoom in here a little bit on that. This is that one big sunspot we've been talking about. This one did kind of flare a few times, but we haven't seen any kind of big eruptions out of this thing. And the reason why is because I was telling you guys about these cores and how they mix. When you start getting that mixing, they become, you know, they become destabilized. In other words, they have a better chance of flaring. Well, this one kind of went the opposite direction of that. It started to stabilize. And guess what? Where's that thing facing? It's Earth facing, directly Earth facing. And we've been talking about the Earth facing quiet phenomenon that we talk about. Again, I don't know exactly what causes it. I just know that's what I observe. When the sunspots rotate through, a lot of times when they get about here, they start to quiet down. And then on the opposite end of that, when they're rotating, you know, because the sun's rotating from left to right, sorry guys, it's rotating from left to right, and when the sunspot gets over here, about right here, it starts acting up again. So it's a real thing. If you go back and look at historic data, you'll see it. Now again, I don't know exactly what causes it, but that's just something that we see. So yeah. So let me so if you guys remember my last live stream from last night, if you guys didn't get a chance to see it, I highly encourage you to go back and watch it. At least when because when I showed you guys yesterday, this proton flux was where? Right here where I'm pointing. it had just broken S1 level. Do you guys remember what I said? Did I say that it was going to keep moving up and I thought it was going to get into S2 range? That's exactly what happens. And I'm not sitting here trying to blow my own horn or nothing. I'm just pointing that out that, that actually did happen. That's exactly what happened here. It kind of leveled off, and we probably got a couple more eruptions flaring, just some extra protons out there that got drawn in. And so when we see these things, they make appearances on the coronagraphs. This is a coronagraph, right? This is LASCO C2. And actually, I'll take you guys over here to seeds. Okay. This particular image comes from a satellite that's right here. This is Earth. That's the satellite. Okay. It's about 1 million miles closer to the sun than what we are. It is as if you walked outside and looked up. Okay. It's from our point of view. Boring? Are you bored? Time's up? Is your time up, brother? Your sister? It's all right. Hey, I can take that. Hey, mods, don't worry about it. My mods let that stuff go. You can say that stuff all day long, man. I'm just glad you're here. Anyway, so you got the Earth here, and I'll try not to be as boring. How about that? I can, elaborate like some people do. Go off deep in, say everything that I say is a critical update, and that's code red this and code red that. But you're not going to get that here. So, just so you know. Hey, Stealth Mode, what's up? So, anyway, as we're looking here, that's the Earth. That is the satellite that we're going to be looking at the images on. Remember that it orbits with us around the sun. So again, it's as if we went outside and looked up. So why did I call it radiation snow? Well, the fact of the matter is, it's radiation, and when we see it on a coronagraph, it's snow. It looks like snow. Okay? That right there, that image I just showed you, that was Stereo A. That's another satellite. It's basically in the same position as this one nowadays. It's not exactly in the same position, but it's close. So yeah. Why is that? Hold on a minute here. Okay. I was on the 9th. That was the eruption from yesterday. As you can see, after we had that big one yesterday, the X-flare, the detector started getting pummeled with charged particles. Okay? So when it gets pummeled with particles like that, it looks like snow. That's just what it appears to look like. So that's why I called it radiation, because it's actual radiation. It's charged particles, right? It's a charged gas. It's plasma. So it's been quite some time since we've had one do this to the coronagraphs. This is a pretty significant, intense one. Now, again, we've seen it way worse. We've seen it where it completely washes out the whole image. It looks like an old TV from back in the 70s when I was a kid, in the 80s, when at night when the channels actually shut off, and you got our national anthem would sing, and then you would see the red, green, blue, yellow lines, the vertical lines, and then you would see nothing but snow. It would look like snow, making that noise, right? That static noise. Well, like Poltergeist. You guys remember that movie? Same thing. That's what it looked like. That's why I call it snow here. But fact of the matter is, it got us. It got us into an S2 radiation storm. So, but I do want to show you this eruption, because this second eruption, guys, this one here, even though it only came in at an M3, it was occulted by the sun. In other words, it was still behind the limb of the sun. It could not see us all the way. The horizon of the sun was blocking it. Or we'll just call it the horizon. Why not? The curvature of the sun right there. So anyway, you guys know what I'm talking about. It's late. I'm tired. Sorry. But we're not getting the full brunt of the X-ray. The sun's blocking some of it. This, in my opinion, is a stronger eruption. Now, I want to point something out about this eruption. You guys see this void here and this void here? That's going to come into play here in a minute. Okay? But I have to point something out that I thought was hysterically funny. So I'm going to zoom in. And this means absolutely nothing. Okay? I just thought I'd share with you what my mind saw when I looked at this picture. You guys see this black Coulter disc? That's an actual disc on the camera. We've been talking about that, right? And it blocks the main light of the sun. Check this out. What's this look like? Looks like a bald-headed man with a goatee, his mouth, and his nose. If I was to draw an eyeball right there, it would look like the side profile of a man. I just thought that was hysterical. Anyway, it means absolutely nothing, by the way. But, yeah, it just looks like an old man with a big nose, and, you know, you can even see how its mouth is open. See that? It looks like a goatee down here. Now, every time you guys see this image, you're going to go right, your mind's going to go there, isn't it? Sorry. But anyway, I just thought that was funny. It looks like who? What'd you say, Rip? I can't see that last word. Looks like a pig? Yeah. Yeah. Pigs in space. There you go. Pigs in space. I love that show. Hey, Jammer, what's up, brother? Hey, Trish. Donald. Max, what's up? But yeah, guys, I mean, this is significant, guys. If this thing was to erupt 2 days from now and did the same kind of eruption, we're having a different conversation. Because these things are what I call near misses. Because we still could get a glancing blow from this thing. So let's dive into this a little bit and let me show you. Well, let me take you back over here for a second first, because I do want to show you. Here's your radiation storm. Okay, that's the background X-ray flux. It says it's elevated, right? This is in the D region. Okay. I'm not going to go into exactly what that means, but it's in the D region. That's where they measure this at. So we'll let this time lapse take off here. Well, okay, there it goes. So if I grab it here and I go forward with it, there's flaring all day long. You see the flashes? Then there was that bigger flare. That's the one that's the side eruption, right? So in my opinion, if this thing had waited another 12 hours, it would have at least been as strong as the one we seen yesterday. This would have been an X-flare, if not more. And I'm going to show you why. Okay, so let me pop over here to Iswa. Now, I'm going to show you the snow again, too, right here. It's the same image, it's just over on Iswa. Iswa is just another website that takes the same data and shows you the same model. And because of that, they can be posted at different times. Iswa seems to, with the coronagraphs here, it gets posted quicker. Okay? So what's that mean? Well, nothing more than we get to see it a little bit sooner. That's all that means. But anyway, let me grab this slide bar here. There's the first eruption yesterday. Okay? Right there. Now watch what happens shortly after. See all the snow hit? That's those charged particles hitting the detector. You're going to see them get a little bit more intense as time goes on. See that? And then there's the second eruption. Okay? Both of these were in the southern hemisphere of the sun, but they were almost 180 degrees from each other. Now that's significant because I'm going to tell you this too. Oftentimes, we'll see a big eruption on the sun, and you can almost draw a straight line through the sun to the back, and you're going to see another eruption over there within the next 12 to 24 hours. I've seen that so many times. Now, again, it doesn't happen every time, but it happens often. And that's just an observation I've made. I went back and looked at some historic data, and it does happen quite a bit. I'm not sure if anybody's ever studied that or if there's even any reason to. The only other reason that it could be to study something like that, because of this occulter disk right here, it's a physical disk, we can't see what's behind it, right? But say we get an eruption and it's coming right at us and we can't see it on the occulter disk. But we know it's coming at us because of some of the other tools we have, right? Well, what if this eruption went off the backside? Okay, say this big eruption went off the backside. Given what I just said a minute ago, if you draw if you draw a straight line through the sun, 180 degrees is what from that one? That would be pointed directly at us. So the next eruption from that area would be coming our way, if that was to hold true. Now again, it doesn't happen every time, but it happens more so than it doesn't. I've shown you guys over and over. See an eruption here, within 12 to 24 hours, you're seeing another one over here. It's just there. I mean, I don't know what else to say about that. But that would be a benefit to us to recognize that, so we might be able to be watching to see if something does happen 180 degrees away. It would benefit us. It really would. But yeah, hey Benoit, what's up? So, what's up, Deep Quake? Tina Jarvis, holding it down in the Bronx, baby. That's right. All right. So let's I want to zoom in because I want you guys to take a close look at this this particular eruption over here, because you'll see what I mean when I'm telling you that this thing was probably stronger than the one from yesterday. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to back it up. I'm going to see if we can see the one from the beginning from yesterday. Might be able to. Okay, there it is. Okay, so watch down here. This is the one that happened yesterday, the X-Player. Okay, now keep that image in your mind. Okay, now we're going to go over here and look. I'll back it up. You guys see that? It really looks a little bit stronger to me. Now again, I can't say if it was or not. Does it really matter at this point? Not really. But what I'm saying is that if this happens a little bit later, that means that will be coming right at us. And we're dodging these things by about 24 hours. It's that simple. I don't know what else to say on that end of it, because it truly is that simple. So let me, I'm going to do this. Go up here, because I want you guys to see what I was seeing. All right, so let me back it up. Thank you, Deep Quake. Appreciate you, Paul. Appreciate that. Thank you so much. Awesome. Thank you. Oh, yeah, I like that sticker. What is that? A flying, is that an eggplant or something? What is that? At least twice as strong. Yeah, Sign Digger, I'm not sure if it was quite twice as strong, but I will say that it was significantly stronger, I think. But here it is, right here. Okay? What's this look like to you? I mean, look at this thing. You can see the loop here getting ready to break. That's what happens. It breaks. Boom, see? See how it busted out like that and like that? So as I go forward here, look at all this. Remember that a lot of this is behind the sun. We're not seeing the whole thing. So as I go forward again, check this out. Look at this. It's like it's drawing from two different. And if you see this, what does this look like right here? Looks like these two voids, right? So it's almost like it was two eruptions at the exact same time. Now, I'm not saying that that's what happened. I'm just saying that's what it, visually, that's what it looks like. Okay? And again, I don't think it matters if it is or not, but it does look like that's drawn from two different areas. Two different points on the surface. Now, I would say, well, it's one eruption because, that's a connection point. You got a loop and that's connecting, right? Well, this is separated right here, guys. That's what's kind of throwing me off. Unless it's connected kind of like vertically like this. You know what I mean? Like going from front to back. Front of the sun to the back of the sun. Not just like horizontal like this, right? That's kind of what I'm saying. Hey, Mars World, thank you. Thank you for the other one you sent the other day, too. I tried to catch that, but thank you. Appreciate that. Appreciate it a lot. So thanks. You guys, you have no idea how emotional that stuff gets me. I'm sorry. I'm a wuss like that. But so anyway, it just looked like two separate draw points there, guys. I mean, and again, it doesn't matter. Not really. It really doesn't. Other than to say, hey, maybe we got to watch this area a little bit stronger or what have you. But that's just kind of what it looks like to me. Hey, Butterfly. Now, so let's back that off a little bit. And what we'll do is we'll take a look at some other angstroms here. Okay? Because I do want to show it to you in the 131 especially. There it is. I almost used this as my thumbnail, but I figured the radiation thing was probably a little bit better because of the snow aspect of it. So let me zoom in here. Oh yeah, by the way, guys, I need some prayers for my daughter. She's sick. The school systems around here, they're actually shutting schools down again. And it's not for COVID, okay? They actually shut one of our sister schools down for a couple days for strep. Strep was that bad. They had like 80 kids out. It's ridiculous. But anyway, I just thought that was pretty relevant there to share with you. So I will take all the prayers I can get. As a matter of fact, guys, if you want, go ahead and throw some ones in the chat for me. Ones or praying hands and good thoughts. How about that? But a one means the same thing. Daggone it. Trying to get it here, guys. Give me a second. Here. Right there. Okay. So. That's backwards. Let's go forward, Mark. Go forward. Hey, Mars. Well, thank you, Mars World. You didn't have to do that. Hey, man, I really appreciate that. Really appreciate that, Mars World. So much. Oh, and by the way, guys, when I say like man and buddy and stuff like that, I say that to man, woman, it doesn't matter. So if I do that to you, don't think that I think you're the opposite sex or whatever. That's just the way I talk. I apologize if I ever do that to somebody. I do it a lot. So anyway, sometimes it's even hard. Matter of fact, I called, hey, Daniel, what's up, bud? Ain't seen you in a minute, man. Good to see you, bud. Hope you're well, bud. I really do. Anyway. Look at that. I mean, you know what that reminds me of? Have you guys seen those, they actually have these things you can get on, like Amazon. You can go to some of the novelty stores and get them. They look like blue flames. They're like a flat bar, and you can put them wherever you want, right? This is decoration, and you can change the color of it, and it looks like blue flame or red flame or orange flame, whatever. That's kind of what that looks like to me. I just thought that was pretty cool. See it fluttering like that? I just think this stuff I really enjoy looking at this stuff. Yeah, I hear you, man. I hear you, Daniel. Sure. But yeah. Yeah, guys, if Jammer ever drops any info in there, hey, Anna, what's up? Listen to it, because Jammer's on it. I'm telling you. He is on it when it comes to getting info. You guys check, he's a good friend, too. Just so everybody understands that. Really good friend. He's one of my mod brothers over on Marf. Okay. So, let's check out a different angstrom here. And I'm showing you different angstroms so you guys can get an idea of why I'm showing you different ones. Because we see different things, guys. I mean, that's the whole reason. We're seeing different gases, but it helps us understand the picture as a whole better. That's why I do it. It ain't because, I think this looks cool. It's because, hey, we need to see the other gases to actually see what's going on. So this is the 171 angstrom, and it's just the part of the light spectrum we cannot see, right? And as you can see, when this one blows out over there again, you can see the whole. I mean, I'm telling you guys, that's a significant eruption. That thing, it's at least an X-class. X-class flare, at least. Yeah. And in my opinion, we're probably looking at X5, at X6. It just seemed to be a little bit more powerful than the one yesterday. And if we'd have caught that one yesterday, it was behind the limb also. But it still came in as an X3. So, this is what I'm trying to say, Now, I will say this too. This is the magnetogram, and this is the color version of it. It lets us see polarity, right? So here's the bigger sunspot, right? I've been showing you guys this now for almost a week. This is the same sunspot that I said was hyperactive earlier on, right? And it calmed down. And I talked about that yesterday. It calmed down to what? It calmed down to the Earth-facing quiet thing that I was talking about, right? So with that being said, this is a big sunspot as far as area goes. I'm not going to say it's big as far as anything else, but yeah. Now, I told you guys yesterday when the blues and reds start mixing, those are the polarities, right? That's when we really got to pay attention. Well, you see what's happened. If you remember yesterday, some of these blue cores were kind of in the middle here. That's no longer the case. This sunspot has, for all intents and purposes, stabilized. Now, it's still holding enough energy, and I'm not going to get into like delta class, gamma class, and all that right now, but that all matters. So when all that's happening all at once, basically they're telling you that it's holding enough energy. If it flares, it could give you an X flare. Well, this one here is that. So if we start seeing these blue cores start to circle in with these reds, we're going to have to pay attention. And we've been paying attention to it. It just never had that big, gigantic flare. It was flaring a bunch, which actually sometimes is a good thing. Because you're breaking those magnetic connections often. So it's slowly dispersing that energy. So those little small crackles actually helps. Helps prevent the big, gigantic ones anyway. But anyway, you got another sunspot here. Now the one that flared is here. Okay? And I know it's a sunspot. I haven't went and looked. But I know there's a sunspot over here because of this. You see the greens and yellows? When you start seeing those, if you notice over here, same thing's happening. So this is, at least that's a coronal prominence, which is just an area that we're watching for these kinds of events to happen. But my guess is once this fully comes onto our side of the sun, we're going to see some of these cores. It's going to be a sunspot there, is what I'm saying. Hey, Daryl, what's up? Amy Lynn, Jonathan. Hey, there you go, Trinity. Good to see you, sister. Hey, Ben Walls back in here. Discernment. What's happening? But yeah, guys, I mean, this thing, I'm telling you, I've said it a bunch. I'm stressing it because stressing that point. I'm not stressed out. I'm never stressed out. Okay. Now, when it comes to this stuff does not scare me. It should not scare you. Okay. I'm not telling you not to be concerned or not to pay attention. I'm just telling you don't fear it. Okay. You know, and I say this often. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. But that when may come after we're already gone. We just don't know. Okay? Now, in my opinion, do I think we're going to get a big one before I go? Yeah, I actually do. That's an opinion that I hold. But it's not a fact. Okay? There's a difference. So when I'm showing you guys this stuff, the intent here is to give you guys enough knowledge and to give you guys enough confidence in what you know about stuff like this to allow you not to be fearful if something happens. Because if you're not fearful, all you do at that point is you react. You don't, oh my God, what did I do? What did I do? That shock stuff is gone. You will know what to do. Or at least you will know what's causing it. And that, you know, when we have fear, for me, about 90% of my fear is from whatever the unknown is. Okay? If you don't know something's coming, to me that's more fearful than sitting here looking Satan right in his eye. You know what I mean? If I'm walking down the street and I'm always looking over my shoulder and stuff, you see what I'm saying there, guys? I'd rather just look at somebody or look at whatever problem's in front of me and deal with it. That doesn't scare me. It might concern me, but I'm not fearful of it. My fears come from the stuff I don't know. And when I say the stuff I don't know, I'm talking about something happening that I didn't even know could happen. That's called a shock scare. If you remember back when you were the most scared in your life, I promise you it probably had something to do with something like that. Maybe somebody jumped out of somewhere that you didn't expect it, and it just about made you have a heart attack or something. So that's my intent when I'm showing you guys this stuff. If you ever get fearful watching anything I do, there's a big red X up in the corner of this window. Hit it. Go watch something else for a few minutes and come back. Email me if you need to. I'll try to explain things so you're not fearful. And that's what I'm trying to say, guys. So, yeah, you guys know I don't do fear. I hate that. You know, and whenever we report on anything that could possibly have some negative connotation to it, it doesn't matter how soft you put it out there. Somebody's going to say, hey, they're over here doing fear porn, this, that, and the other. When in reality, we're doing the exact opposite. And, you know, that's why I surround myself with people that don't do that. Like Mars and Adam. They talk about some really serious stuff over there on Marfugal, right? It's hard to talk about those kinds of subjects without it kind of feeling a little bit negative. But there's no fear there. Let me tell you why. They give you guys a full bibliography. You have access to all the source information. They will tell you, don't believe what I'm saying, go read it for yourself. That right there is enough to chalk the fear right in half. You know, they're not telling you not to pay attention, just like I'm not. You pay attention, keep your head on a swivel, something happens, you react. If you don't have that information and something happens, then you make very bad decisions on the fly. So, that's why I'm saying all that. Rant done. Sorry. I have to do that every once in a while, especially when I'm getting new people and stuff, because, you know, this is a hard subject to understand when it comes to trying to really understand what space weather is. But it's not as hard as most people think it is. And I can tell you right now, every one of you guys can understand every aspect of this, at least at a basic level. And that's my goal here, guys. Give you guys that understanding. So, anyway, enough of that. So let's go back over here to the radiation. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys because we do have geomagnetic storming most likely on the way. Well, we kind of dodged a storm. Okay, I'm using that term lightly. They thought we might have caught a glancing blow from that X flare. Not the X flare, I'm sorry. An eruption that happened earlier in the week. I think it was on the 7th. They thought it was going to give us a glancing blow on the 9th. Well, it did give us a glancing blow, but check it out. That's all we got out of it. Okay? All of our tools and stuff reacted a little bit, but it wasn't strong enough to give us storm level. And that's kind of what we were all talking about. So, anyway. But I do want to show you guys what we can expect during certain types of like radiation storms, because I get this a lot. And I do talk about this sometimes. I do go over these charts or these levels of what we can expect during certain storms. Man, I hit the wrong button again, didn't I? Okay, let's go back here and do it again. They're called space weather scales. It's the scale up of the storms, okay? So if you hear me say like a G2 storm, you guys scroll to the bottom over at NOAA. Go to NOAA Space Weather Prediction Center. You come down here to the bottom of the page, you're going to find everything. Space weather scales. This right here, this is dashboard. If you click on any of these, like Space Weather Enthusiast, that's the page I show you guys all the time. That's this page up here. This one. Okay, all it is, it's a hub of different space weather models and charts and graphs and data. That's all that means. So, and if you want the scales and stuff, they're actually subtitled here. This says models. So a lot of the models I show you are down here. You guys can go look at all of them. So yeah, I just want to make sure you guys know that that's there. So this is the scales, and we've been talking about R2, R3 radio blackouts, because we got to an R3. That says wide area blackout of high frequency radio communications, loss of radio contact for about an hour on the sunlit side of the Earth. In other words, the day side of the planet. Navigation. Low frequency navigation signals degraded for about an hour. So why are they saying just about an hour? Because that's how fast the stuff gets here, and it doesn't hang around a whole lot. Okay, X-rays here at the speed of light, about 8 minutes. So that's what you can expect during that level of radio blackout storm. Okay, now that can be very significant depending on what part of the planet's facing the sun. For instance, I know this is kind of a crazy scenario I'm getting ready to throw at you, but maybe we had some sort of event, bad event happen, and let's just say there was a building on fire in New York City. Okay? And it was during the day. And we get a X flare that fires off and gives us an R3 or an R4 radio blackout storm for about an hour. What does that mean? That means that the communications that a lot of first responders use are ham radio stuff, okay? It degrades the propagation of that radio signal. They have problems communicating because of that. That's why stuff like this is significant. And it, believe it or not, that stuff happens. It doesn't have to be a large scale event either. Maybe you live in a small town and something happened, and then we get a flare right on top of it, then what happens? So my house ends up burning to the ground, or maybe somebody's had a car wreck and they can't get the ambulance there fast enough now because it didn't even know to come yet. That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about when we're talking about radio blackouts. This, it affects our daily lives. It can. So we're talking about an S2 radiation storm right now. Now I know S1, I tell you guys, I don't even really bother even showing you guys that. For what reason? Well, it says biological effects, none. So we're not going to see anything. We're not going to know the difference. Okay? It says minor impacts of high frequency radio in the pole regions. In other words, if you live in the polar regions, you might, quotation, might see a minor impact. So yeah, so keep that in mind first and foremost. S2, which is where we're at now. Biological. Passengers and crew in high-flying aircraft at high latitudes may be exposed to elevated radiation risk. Let me take that whole bowl of word salad, dump it out, and just tell you exactly what that means. Okay, what that means is, if you get on a plane, you're flying at 35,000 feet in the air, right? And say you're going from Ireland over here somewhere in the States. You will take a northerly flight path, which means you are closer to the poles. So now you're high elevated and higher latitude. What's that mean? You could experience elevated radiation risk. That's what that means. Okay? So they actually were, for cabin crew, pilots, pregnant women, they really scrutinized that. Because if you're pregnant, you don't want your baby to have any kind of x-ray before they're born. Even up until, like, I think age 2 or something. And even nowadays, they don't like to give x-rays unless they think they absolutely have to, no matter what age you are. Because when you get an x-ray, guys, that's radiation. So anyway, may it be low level, it's still radiation. So if you've gotten sick and they just continually take x-ray pictures of you for no reason, it can make, that in itself can make you sick. So that's why. We just have a better understanding of that now. So in other words, they will actually tell a pilot and cabin crew, hey, you've had too many hours flying up high in high latitudes. You can't fly that path today. I think they have I think it's 80 hours a year. Or it may even be like 800 hours a year. I can't remember. That the pilots and the cabin crew they can't breach that and fly in those conditions again until a certain amount of time has elapsed. So it affects them, it affects pregnant women, it affects all of us, okay? Because if you're in that plane, you are getting elevated radiation. So I'm not sure. I think a lot of the planes actually have like Geiger counters on them now. I could be wrong about that, but I thought I had seen that. I'm not too knowledgeable about that. But say we got to an R3, right? Radiation hazard avoidance. Recommended for what? Astronauts on EVA, passengers and crew in high-flying aircraft, here we go again, at high latitudes may be exposed to radiation. Now they're calling it a risk, not just an elevated radiation risk. They're just flat calling it a risk. It is now officially a risk to you if you're flying in these conditions. So that's why I say this. I get this question a lot, so that's why I'm addressing it now. Let's talk about the satellites that can be messed with, right? Single event upsets noise and imaging systems. You guys know what that is? Noise and imaging systems. You guys remember what that is? It's this. That's noise. What can that noise do to a satellite? It could cause it to do things it didn't mean to do. It could make it, start taking pictures wrong, or it could actually make it slow down. Maybe it'll start firing off its little directional correction jets that they have on them, just to kind of keep it in orbit, right? Plus, guess what? When this stuff hits, what's that doing? It's adding more mass. The particles are more dense, so it adds drag. It will slow satellites down. That's not good for satellites because they fall out of orbit. You got to think, when a satellite's up there, it's essentially falling back to Earth at all times. That's how it keeps in orbit. And I'm not going to get into the orbital mechanics and stuff, but that's essentially what it's doing. So if you slow that fall down a little bit, it will change the satellite's trajectory, which will cause it to come out of that really good low Earth orbit position it's in. That's what happens. So anyway, let's go back here to the scales. So we're talking R4, unavoidable radiation hazards to astronauts on EVA. Okay, now I understand that we don't have 5,000 astronauts up there, but there are people up there. Okay, passenger and crew in high-flying aircraft at high latitudes may be exposed to radiation risk. Again, that's always going to be there. Okay, blackout of high-frequency radio communications through the pole regions, errors over several days are likely. Okay, so that means the stuff's hanging around. If it's lasting several days, it's hanging around. Now, S5. I've never seen an S5 since I've been doing my channel. I don't know when the last S5 was. It would probably be as simple as looking on Google. Okay, I just simply haven't looked at it. But what can we expect? Unavoidable high radiation hazard to astronauts. Passenger and crew in high-flying aircraft at high latitudes may be exposed to radiation risk. Same thing. That's a pattern, right? You're going to see that with all that. Satellites may be rendered useless. You guys hearing this? Hey, Linda, good to see you. Hey, Piper, Jedi Flower. I mean, yeah, you're rendering satellites useless at this point. Some of them might be. Plus, memory impacts can cause loss of control, may cause serious noise and image data. Star trackers may be unable to locate the source. Permanent damage to solar panels possible. You guys hearing that? You know, oftentimes we think we just shoot a satellite out there in space and nothing's bothering it. It's just out there in the void, right? That's not the case. We just can't see it with our eyes. There's particles flying all the time through space. Okay? So when those things get peppered with that, it can mess with them. And that's what's happening there. This is why they put our satellites in the positions they do. Because if they have them out there past our magnetic field, our magnetosphere, that means it doesn't have that magnetic protection the Earth is giving it. It's out past it. This is one of the biggest reasons why it's such a danger to go to another planet. Okay? Because you have to try to dodge all that. They were really concerned about some of the equipment on Mars when Mars took a CME hit, because Mars doesn't have an atmosphere like we have. So when the CME goes out towards Mars, it truly does blast that planet. So anything that's on that planet is going to get the same blast. And you can compute that to being outside of Earth's magnetosphere. That's why this matters. Okay? But yeah. So that's kind of what you can expect with those radiation storms. Now, I'm assuming that, we can go higher than an S5. They just don't class it. Okay? At that point, why? It's probably so bad that people are getting sick and everything like that. Probably just no really good reason to go higher than that. Other than, I don't know that we've ever, during recent historic data collection, I don't know that we've ever had anything show up higher than that. I don't know. That could be why. They didn't used to think UVC could hit the surface of the Earth either. They didn't even consider that, because they said our atmosphere would eat it all up before it got to the surface. Well, guess what? We now see UVC on the surface. So that is another thing that we can point to say, hey, our magnetic field's weakening, our atmosphere is weakening, all that stuff plays together, and this is why we talk about it. I think probably in the near future, guys, they're going to be redoing these scales, because I've seen too many things happen during low-level geomagnetic storms that should not be happening, at least not to the level that they are. Now, if it's a one-off thing, I would stop right there, But like I've pointed to in the past, the Starlink satellites that went during launch, Some of them fell out of the sky because of extra drag I was just talking about. Because we got hit with a what? A G1 storm. The lowest level storm you could think of as far as storm conditions. They had launched in these conditions multiple times. Nothing had ever happened before. And this time, it did. This was like a year and a half ago. And then a week later, I can't remember the second company that did the same thing. It wasn't SpaceX, but it was another one that was firing these rockets up there that returned back and launching satellites. Same thing happened to them a week later. But what's interesting is, guess what? It was during a G1 storm also. Once again, we shouldn't be seeing those kinds of things. So you get those kinds of events 2 weeks in a row. That's not a coincidence, guys. That's a pattern. So we need to start looking at that. We have to start looking at that harder. I would guess that they probably are. And again, I think that they may change. It's not going to be a drastic change in these scales. It will be a slow change, okay? It's not something you're going to snap your finger and it's just automatically going to be horrible, okay? It's going to take some time for any of the stuff that we talk about that could happen. Unless we're talking, again, like, Ben talks about a micronova and big solar blast and all that kind of stuff. Those aren't just geomagnetic storms. Those are different. Okay, and there's a whole lot of science behind all of that, and that's just, I'm using that as an example. Again, I don't have the knowledge to even really speak on that, so I'm not really going to. I'm just going to say, hey, there's other people out there talking about stuff like this. You got Ben, you got Tamitha Sco. She's awesome. She really has a good base of, well, she's a doctor, guys. I mean, come on. And she understands it. She's been on the Weather Channel. She's been on multiple times, by the way, reporting on space weather, talking about these kinds of, not really this specific issue, but talking about certain things. Whatever's going on, like G5 or G4 storms, X flares, all that stuff. It's free college. Go check it out. I'm telling you, go check it out. Tamitha Sco, watch her. She posts like once a week. But if something happens, she'll come on and let everybody know. But she'll do like a 3 or 4 hour live stream, and you don't have to watch it all. That's not what I'm saying. But she calls it like a class, I guess is what I'll call it. I think she calls it an informal report, but she really does go through the specifics. And she has a way of explaining things that, well, I'm like Forrest Gump, guys. Mama has a way of explaining things so I can understand them. Right? Just saying. Anyway, that's where I tell you guys, when you're looking at the magnetosphere, it's more like a slinky than it is a curtain. Right? Our magnetic field is like a slinky and the Earth's sitting in the middle of it. That's how it is. You pull a slinky apart and wrap it around the front of the Earth would be sitting in the middle of it. That's more representative of what our magnetosphere really looks like. It's not just straight lines. That's where I got that slinky analogy from, was from watching her. So go check her out. But anyway, guys, so if anything else happens, guys, I promise you, I will be back. Most likely, I'll try to give you guys an update tomorrow or Sunday. I'm going to try to probably give you guys one tomorrow because stuff's going on. If nothing's going on, I may pop on for 5 or 10 minutes and say, hey guys, this is the update and this is what's happening. But guys, please come back. I'm trying to get back, really back into doing live streams every day, and I'm getting my groove now. And I appreciate you guys giving me the time to do it. Thank you guys for your support and everything that you've ever done. The way you guys can support me the most is coming here and watching and sharing it out. All right? That's really the biggest thing. Hey, Axe, what's up, brother? Or is that Nacho? Just saying. And thanks to everybody that super chatted. Remember, guys, I got memberships coming this week or early next week. Go check out Marth, Trinity, Ripper, everybody, guys. Tommy, Lifeboat. He's on the road right now, so go check it out over there, guys. good stuff. So, anyway, guys, God bless. Yahusha saves. And, yeah, you can drink this Kool-Aid.